half of this presentation. Just so you know, I won't be hitting every single bullet point because I don't want this to be like 20 more minutes long. So I'll be really trying to highlight what I find really important for you to hear. So what are the repercussions for homeless students? We broke it into a couple categories: emotional, physical, and social. Um, Emotionally, homelessness can be really difficult for students, right? I mean, first of all, the age is already difficult, and then it can make them anxious, not knowing where they're going to eat, where they're going to sleep, if they're safe. This can lead to depression and anger, low self esteem. I really want to touch on embarrassment, though, especially for the junior and high school level. Of course, elementary maybe as well. These students can be very embarrassed by the situation. They don't want their peers to know. They may have poor hygiene because they don't have anywhere to take care of take care of themselves. Depending on the district, maybe it's a wealthy district and they don't feel they fit in, and all of this can lead to the social problems. But we as teachers really need to be aware of that embarrassment factor and how that's affecting the students. Uh, Again, socially, they may then not interact with their peers or be isolated and act out in the classroom. Physically, students may be hungry, they may not know where their next meal is coming from, they may be stressed about that, stressed about where they're going to sleep and if that place is safe. They've experienced developmental delays potentially because of all the school they missed or skipping district to district. These students are also more susceptible to domestic, physical, and sexual violence, which we as teachers really need to be aware of, the things that may be happening to the student and the fears they have daily. Uh-oh. There we go. What else do homeless students face? So these students are twice as likely to repeat a grade and they're less likely to graduate high school. They lose progress from changing schools and they lower their test scores. Poor nutrition, more stress, and they still are supposed to be focusing in school, which is really tough. Um, what are some signs and signals you can help spot a homeless student? Uh, Before I go on with this one, I'd just like to look at the note at the bottom here. Remember, each of these alone does not mean someone is homeless, and you shouldn't be assuming that they are either. These just need to be little red flags in your mind that could mean many things, but multiple together should at least get you questioning what's going on with this student. So, of course, there's questionnaires filled out at the beginning of the year that you can look to during registration. You can also look to students sleeping in class or tardiness. Teachers often get mad about this, but you need to think about the why. So, is the student sleeping here because it's the only place they feel safe to sleep? The question behind the sleep is important. The question behind the tardiness. Why are they late? Can they not get here? Do they not have someone waking them up or an alarm clock? Um, Student appears dirty or may smell, lack of hygiene, that kind of thing. Maybe they don't have somewhere where they can wash up. And students can be a little less tactical and they can point it out. So really be aware of that. Maybe if they bring all their belongings to school every day, right? So if they've got their backpack and a blanket and another bag and all of these things, maybe they have nowhere else to put it. Maybe that's why. And if they avoid your questions about their life, so if they don't want to talk about home or their parents, of course, a lot of kids don't always talk about it, but you could think of why. Again, is there no home to talk about? So these are the things that you and your school are required to do. Most of these are more administrator based or higher up. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but I put a little asterisk next to the second one: report their presence to officials. That is something you have to do. So if you do know of a student's homeless, you are required to report it. Otherwise, this is a lot of they have equal access to all programs and all activities, transportation. All of this is kind of the McKinney-Vento Act's doing of rights for homeless and foster youth. Um, and that little one at the bottom I thought was interesting. You separate their data from other student achievement and graduation because it skews the scores. I don't know, that just struck me as interesting, and I thought you might find it interesting as well. So this is really the meat. What can you do? There's so many options, and I'm not going to talk about every single one. They're kind of broken into categories, but so much overlap. So, some that I really like are on the bottom, help them find places to study or just be that are quiet. So, provide a space that maybe that student has that can feel like their own. Maybe it's your classroom at brunch, maybe it's a corner with a beanbag chair where they can go relax for a minute. Just something that can really uh, be of relief to them. The biggest one on the top, ask what you can do. If your students are opening up to you about this, ask them what they need, so that you can really provide it. The California Department of Education also gave the idea of asking students about their interests and needs, and also learning about their learning styles, so you can incorporate all of that um, into your curriculum, right? Maybe if they're really into music, you can add that. Maybe if they're a kinesthetic learner, you can add that. Things to brighten their day and interest them when there's a lot going on in their lives. Some more on this one. Don't penalize them for being tardy. Talk to them, but find out why, or be sensitive. Keeping snacks on hand is a really good one. They specifically said something nutritional that the student, maybe hasn't eaten. It gives them something, and you can either keep it so they ask you, or keep it somewhere they know where it is so that they don't have to ask. I think that's a good one. Um, and give them a mentor. They said student or adult, but I think giving them a student in class is kind and compassionate and they get along with, so that they have a friend. A couple more I want to say. Advocate for them, of course, that's all the way at the bottom. So many of these are just around providing a supportive environment and being kind and understanding. Please, please, please do not call them out or draw attention. You do not want to make these students feel called out or feel different. Um, and the last one I'll highlight is kind of halfway down. Keep the curriculum rigorous, but find ways to give them the information in a short amount of time, so that if they miss multiple days, they at least have the concept. I thought that one was really great. And sorry, one more. Provide school supplies. You can give them notebooks, paper, pencils, anything you can do so that they can work at home and they have the resources. And what resources are available to you and your students. So this is a great list of articles, of places to go. The CDE websites have a ton. That New York Times article is really great. So those are just some things for you to look at on your time. So a couple of follow-up activities. The first one, Becky made this, it's really awesome. You can go to the CDE website and enter the school district and city in which you work or live, right? So do whatever connects to you. You're going to click on the link for the correct district, and then under the student population, click the box that says enrollment, and that box will come up, and you're going to look for the number of homeless students for your district. Then take that number and enter it into this survey Becky made here. So you're going to put your district's information, and then you can go to the next link to see the results, and we can all compare the homelessness population in our district and see what it's like around our areas. Um, After you do that, I've created a blog on Padlet here. So you're going to follow that link. I know it looks like there's a separation of my name, it's an underscore. So, based on what you learned about your school stats and what we talked about that you can use to help your homeless students, we want you to create a post and describe some ways that you can help students who are homeless in your classroom or school that feels realistic for you and that feels right for your class. I know it can be overwhelming thinking, what can I do? So, just pick a couple that feel really doable to you. We'll put all those links down so that you can click on them easier instead of typing them in. And just some follow up thoughts. These kids are going through so much and they're scared and they may feel very unsafe. And so we just really need to be kind and understanding and create that safe space for them. Uh, and we just need to not assume anything, as we talked about, but really try and create that stable environment. I hope this was helpful and you guys learned more about homeless students and how you can really help them. Uh, Thanks for listening.